Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Ava Gutierrez, and I'm the training assistant at the Sonoran Center for Excellence in Disabilities. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to go over. Today's session is being recorded, and all recordings and materials will be available via email after our event. If you would like to ask a question, please type your question into the chat box or use the raise hand button if you would like to speak. If you encounter any technical issues, please send a message to the chat to the Sonoran Center, who will be monitoring the chat. Live captioning is available, and we are grateful for Dawn as our captioner today. To access live captions, please click on the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen. And we also ask audience members to remain muted unless you are going to speak. We would like to read the university's land acknowledgement as we start today's session. We respectfully acknowledge the University of Arizona is on the land and territories of Indigenous people. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the O'odham and Yaqui. Committed to diversity and inclusion, the university strives to build sustainable relationships with sovereign Native nations and Indigenous communities through education offerings, partnership, and community service. And now we'll turn it over to JC Farkas.
Thank you, Ava. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm JC Farkas. I'm the director here at the Sonoran Center for Excellence in Disabilities at the University of Arizona. And we are so excited for today's event. We've really had the privilege of being a longtime partner with the Professional Fellows Program, and this year's Professional Fellows Program on Inclusive Engagement. We're so excited that we have two fellows joining us here in Arizona. And this is a partnership between the Institute for Community Inclusion at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and Humanity and Inclusion, with funding support from the U.S. Department of State. And here at the Sonoran Center, we've had several fellows over the years. This is the first time we've been able to host two fellows in 1 year. And we're so excited to have Kelvin Mkude from Tanzania, as well as Mai Nambooze from Uganda, who's here visiting us. They've spent 3 weeks with us so far. This is their fourth and final week with us. And all of our staff here at the Sonoran Center and many of our community partners have really benefited from the cultural and knowledge exchange that we've been able to have over the last few weeks. And so we're happy that we get to kind of expand our circle a little bit with the greater university community, as well as many of those in our networks beyond, with all of you who are joining us online today. So we're going to have both of our fellows present and then open it up for questions and comments. But feel free, for those of you who are online, you can put things in the chat. And when we come time to our Q&A, Ava will help us in navigating some of the questions that come through on Zoom. And with that, we will go ahead and get started, and I will invite Mai to come and join us to start our talk off on Ubuntu.
Thank you, Jessie. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to start with a video, and after that, I'll introduce myself.
We can't hear the video.
Can't hear the video.
For this video, there's no language, verbal talking during this. There is a little bit of music, but we'll make sure that the sound should be sharing for moving forward with any of the other videos.
Can I try some? I already had some. They're very salty. They're quite a delicacy.
Oh, yum. Yeah, that's so good.
You go and have one? Okay. Take a bite there. Jared.
Jared's gonna have some.
You want some?
So delicious.
I'm gonna pass this time.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so I wanted to start with that video to show you how a typical African village looks like, or a typical Ugandan village looks like. Just to show you that kids playing without shoes in the mud, it's okay. It's part of the life. It's normal. I think you've seen kids are happy. All the communities there. The activities we do every day in our country, and I will talk more about how that video reflects on Ubuntu and how we offer services. So my name is Mai Nambooze. I'm from Kampala, Uganda. The national coordinator for the Association of Caregivers in Uganda and a professional fellow at 2025. About the Association of Caregivers Uganda, this is a network for young people who have experienced child care institutions in Uganda, such as babies' homes, children's homes, orphanages, you call it. So our network mostly advocates for changing the way we care for our children. We advocate for policy change. We do research to provide evidence. And we also right now documenting good practices of good practices in supported independent living, so we can have a guideline on that. So what is Ubuntu? Ubuntu is an African philosophy of a shared community. It means I am because we are. It means that my well-being is up to you, and your well-being is up to me. So we can't do it alone. Ubuntu values community and belonging. In Uganda, we have some practices that we do that brings us together, like as a culture. Like Ubuntu Bulam is a shared humanity. Bulungi is a communal support where we all come together. If we have someone who can't clean their houses because of a disability, because of them being sick, we do have Bulungi 1C where we go and support others in community. We have Bulungi 1C for cleaning water wells where we collect water for the community. So yeah. So Ubuntu in our culture, or Ubuntu in Uganda is more than a nuclear family. When we practice Ubuntu, we bring our neighbors in our lives, we bring the kinship families in our lives, and the community as well. We have a say in Uganda that a child belongs to you when it's still in your stomach, when you're still pregnant. When the child is out, the child belongs to the community as well as the government. So that means when a child is angry, it's up to the whole community to feed that child. It's up to for the government or the elders to mentor this child. Yeah, when youth struggles, it's for the elders, the church elders, the community elders, the local leaders to support, to mentor and support this youth. So Ubuntu shapes how we care about our families and our communities, including those children children or young people or people with disabilities. So how is Ubuntu? How is if we don't practice Ubuntu in our community? How does that lead to child and family separation? As I said earlier, that family in Uganda is more than a nuclear family. It's the kinship, it's the community, it's the neighbor. But Ubuntu strengthened this model with a collective responsibility to care for children. As I said, that a child is yours when it's still in the stomach. If it's not still when you give birth, the child belongs to the community. That means everyone is responsible to see the well-being of this child. But when bonds are broken through separation, most of the time we have emotional and psychological harm that begins separating a child, separating the child from their immediate family, from the community, and being put in institutions. There is social and development setbacks. This is scientifically proven that if every time or every 3 months a child lives in an institution, this leads to one month of delay in growth. Identity and culture disconnection when a child is separated from the community and the family. Of course, most of the time you lose because you have to adapt. You have to adapt to a new culture. So most of the time, you lose your identity, which is really one of the big challenges people who have experienced care in Uganda face. And also lifelong consequences. You know, we have research that shows like children and young people in disabilities, they don't really have the life skills that are needed for someone to thrive in the communities. They don't have the, you know, the life skills, the simple things you get while you're growing up in your family, like picking up a plate after eating your food, you know, making your own bed, setting your own time when you want to go to bed, or even the normal way of washing your own clothes, putting your clothes in the laundry. They don't have that because everything is done for them. And then I realized that
even though Ubuntu is an African philosophy, there is a way the United States is also practicing this. And this resonates on or reflects on the collective responsibilities. Like I can give an example of the center here, where you have so many programs in the community that are supporting families to stay together, that are supporting disability inclusion, disability movements, and the volunteerism and the community organizing. Those are some of the practices that resonates with Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu is this culture there it's a different culture, because for us it takes a village. It's a whole village to raise a child, and here the government, the programs are implemented to keep children. We all have one shared principle, to have families together and children growing up in their families, no matter the ability. And I wanted to, I'm going to show you another video of how an institution looks like, mostly with children with disabilities.
So I've just visited a children's home in Uganda, and I don't know what to say really. The bedrooms were bare. They smelled of urine. The children did not look happy. Well, they smiled. Oh, and they sang for me as well, and they danced for me as well. The singing was utterly soulless. It's not good enough to feed a child and hold them in like a warehouse. The answer is that that child deserves to be with a loving, caring, happy family.
And I've shared that video because in Africa and the African practices, we are losing Ubuntu. We are no longer working together, and we are placing our children in institutions. Evidence shows that in Uganda, 50,000 plus children are in institutional care. 80% of them have a living parent. Children with disabilities are three times more likely to not to transition. And that's one reason why I'm here, because children with disabilities are 3 more times more likely not to transition. So my follow-on project is about transitioning children from child institutions back to communities. And I'm going to do research, find out why children are not transitioning,
what solutions should be, or what should be in place for young people or children to transition back to their families, and also recommendations, what programs should be there. And I've taken this opportunity, and I'm very grateful for the center and the staff, for everyone who welcomed me and shared the knowledge they have with me. So that is going to be really very useful for me when I go back and put it in action. And I'm hoping that this is going to be the first step, the journey to transition children from institutions back to community. And also, all of you are welcoming me here. It's Ubuntu, you know. I am here because you are. Yeah, so children with disabilities and caregivers in Uganda are mostly left behind. And this is because we have no policies in place to support transitioning of young people. And it's, as I said, it's really bad for those with disabilities. We have no guidelines. And we also don't know, we estimate, but we also don't know how many children are in institutions. We also don't have evidence on how many institutions we have. We are always estimating. And we also don't know how many people with disability we have. We are always estimating. So I'm hoping this is going to be a first step. This journey to Arizona is going to be the first step to addressing this. So this is my call to action to all of you who are listening and here to me. I'm saying that every child deserves a warmth and a belonging that only family and community can provide. So advocate with us for family-based care. You'll be like, how can we advocate for Uganda when we are in the US? Well, the problem here is most of the donations that people receive to separate children from their families comes from the Western countries. So you may know a friend, a family that is donating to an orphanage. Yes, it's a good heart, we appreciate it, but the long-term consequences is not worthy supporting a child in an institution. So that's why we call for you to support us, family-based care organizations or institutions that supports children in their communities. Support children and caregivers, young children and caregivers who have been in care. So there are programs. We have programs like mental health awareness, life skills, vocational schools, and all that. I would say again, donate and fundraise for community solutions. Become an ambassador for Ubuntu. I am because we are. Every child deserves the warmth, care, and belonging. Let us restore our Ubuntu in our child care. And I hope Ubuntu will also still stay in America in this time, where we are all working towards a goal of saying children living in a safe, loving communities. Together we can ensure that children grows up that no child grows up without a family. And of course, a family doesn't mean the biological family. A family is bigger. We have next of kin, we have a nephew, we have foster families, fund or donate responsibly. Thank you. And I think questions are at the end, or okay, thank you. And then I'll invite my colleague, Kelvin Mkude from Tanzania.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mai, for that great presentation. Okay, I think I should do this. So, my name is Kelvin Mkude, and I'm from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I'm here to talk to you about the disability perspectives of my country. So, why should I talk about that with you guys? It's simple. It's because we believe disability is something that should be addressed by everyone. And it's because we also know that disability is more of a context sometimes. Sometimes the definition of disability differs from place to place. So I think it is good for everyone to know now what about, like, how does Tanzania view disability? So I work with persons with disabilities in my country as a founder and executive director of a non-profit organization called Winning Nature in Charisma. By profession, I am an aquaculture and aquatic scientist working with the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries as an aquaculture officer. And I can say it, I am the first aquaculture officer in Tanzania with a disability. So yeah, I'm proud of that. My passion rather lies more on disability inclusion and advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities. So I ran the organization called Winning Nation Charisma, whereby we create platforms where persons with disabilities will be able to develop and showcase their potentials basing on their professions and their passions. Now, about my country, a little bit of it. Tanzania is in the eastern part of Africa. Its coverage, it covers over 947,000 plus kilometer squares, or in miles, I think it was in miles, it is 367 miles square, something like that. So it is a very diverse society in Tanzania. Like the country in its popularity, it has 60 million people. We have 120 tribes with different languages, but now all of those languages are being combined into one, which we all speak, which is called Kiswahili. So Swahili is my mother tongue, and it is the mother tongue for most of the Tanzanians. Tanzania, it has 11.03 million persons with disabilities, based on the recent census, which was done in 2023. And among those 11 million, only 3.1% have formal employment. And this is the data that people, like, it is not officially put in place, but it is based on some research that has been done by private organizations. And later I will say where this one comes from. But now we lack disaggregated data about disability. We do census, but still the concrete data about disability does not exist. And the activists usually have to go through a lot to get this kind of data. So I want us to view the journey of Tanzania in disability inclusion as building a house. We know that every house needs to have a foundation, and much of it has to be a very strong foundation. So in Tanzania, we believe disability inclusion is it has some components, of which one of those is the legal framework, and there is accountability. It needs to have disability. We need to acknowledge disability barriers that they do exist, and also the administration and partnership. Now, when building a house, you should you must have you must know, like, now where the master bedroom, how will it be, where the kitchen, how will it be, and everything, like the sitting room and everything. So in building for disability inclusion in Tanzania, the master bedroom, I term it as legal framework, because that is where I think everything starts. Like, yeah, I don't want to go into details, but I think that's kind of clear. So we need to have very strong legal framework that will protect the rights of persons with disabilities. So that is what we believe as Tanzanians. But now, to have laws and everything, the legal frameworks, without having accountability, it is not, I think the laws will be useless. We need to know if something happens, what should be done? Like people should know the consequences of their actions before they even do them. So like the second, on our foundation now, we have the second bedroom, which is disability barrier. It is important for us like to also identify that that barriers do exist in our country, in Tanzania, as many other countries. But now the difference is more like on the like what are the extremes of like how people with disability face these barriers compared to other countries. But also now the kitchen is the administration. This is where everything like the work of the kitchen is to make food and everything. So this is where everything else is fed. Like if we have good laws, if we cannot have good laws and accountability if the administration is not that willing to have those structures in the country. So the sitting room, which is a very important also part of a house. This is where we believe that for us to have, for Tanzania to have, to be an inclusive country for persons with disabilities, it is not something that we can do it alone. So we need to partner with other countries and other organizations and other people, like other stakeholders inside and outside the country so as to make that dream a reality. So I will show you a simple video of what persons with disabilities go through as barriers
Mobile money
in the
and
country.
financial services have the power to transform the experience for people living with disabilities. However, they continue to experience barriers. Talk about cost, lack of information, security, among other issues. Tanzania has about 4.5 million people living with disabilities. That's according to the country's Federation of Disabled People's Organizations, Shivyawata. 1/3 of the population are excluded from all financial services. Abdulaziz Shambe, a resident of Dar es Salaam, was involved in a road accident 19 years ago that left him with a spinal injury. He now moves with an assistant who helps him conduct his day-to-day activities, including making financial transactions.
Living with disability is costly. I had a different life before as a finance manager in an oil company, and after the accident, it was difficult for me to accept the disability. But thereafter, I accepted. I faced different challenges in the society. You are seen as very dependent on people for everything. You can't do anything without being assisted. It is very challenging because we became disabled as adults. Bank services are not friendly for us. For example, accessing some buildings which have staircases, yet I use a wheelchair. It's hard. And then reaching for the ATM machines which are high, meaning I have to give someone my card to withdraw money. It means the person has to be trustworthy because next time they can take my card without my permission and go withdraw money. Banks need to see us as important clients because about 2% of people with disability in the country take loans each year. Looking at this year's budget, we will get around $13 million annually in allocation. I would request the banks to put up special desks for people with disabilities and have a person who can assist clients with different kinds of disability.
Different kinds of disability pose different challenges in accessing financial services.
Yeah. I think, yeah, from that video, we all know here that like it says Tanzania has about 3 million persons with disabilities. In contrary to what I said, it is 11 million. And that is because now like the National Bureau of Statistics did not publish this data for 11 million. We did that like it is okay, say like it is not officially published. The 3 million is for the last census, which was on 2012. So people are kind of afraid of saying like it is 11 because now they will be told like where did you get the data? So that's a challenge because like now the census was done, but still it does not publish the data, and still now like we need the data to do some projects, and we are not even given that data. And if you publish the data that is known, people will come and ask you like who gave you that data. So it is a challenge, but also this is what people with disability go through in the financial sector, but it's just an example. This happens to almost all sectors in the health sector, education, and almost everywhere. Accessibility is a challenge to persons with disabilities. So now I'll say, like, after seeing the barriers and what happens in my country, now how do we define disability? In short, you can say, like, disability is when an impairment in a barrier like meet, that's when we get a disability. Like, I have an impairment, then when that impairment reaches to a certain barrier, in so, like, if that happens, that means my disability is being realized, and now I have a disability. Now, like, how do we view, like, what is disability inclusion? In a short formula, we put it like, for us to have a disability, an improved society, we need to take the impairment plus the accessible environment. So, like, if we know that the type of impairments that a person has, if we put accessible environment to that barrier, to that impairment, that means we are being inclusive. And you may ask, like, why they put a hat, a cape with a national flag for Tanzania? I usually do this as a metaphor, so, like, I can remember the type of barriers that persons with disabilities have. So the letters that make a cap are the ones that I'm using as for listing the types of barriers. So we have the A, which is accessibility, communication, attitude, and policy. I know these ones are very common to many countries, so I will not go into details talking about these ones. So this is where now we know what, like, in little sense now, apart from what is happening in papers, what is written in papers and several reports, now what are the aspects that that this disability in Tanzania is being related to? Sometimes there are some people who view, like, disability as a business, and we have so many of these ones. We are calling them scammers, some of them, and they do it, like, as you may find, like, a person has an organization and uses that organization only for their own benefits. And, like, the good example of that, you may find, like, for instance, in Dar es Salaam, you may find one person with disability. He has gone through several disability programs, like 10 to 12 or even to 20 programs over the years, but none of, but for them, there's no any obvious impact from those programs. So that means sometimes the programs are not well organized, because they're not there to help persons with disabilities, just for collecting reports and asking for further funds from sponsors. But also, some view the disability as persons with disabilities as special or have supernatural powers, and this has both positive and negative side. The positive side of it is, like, people think if you have a disability, you are blessed. Like God has blessed you with something unique, so you need to use that to your advantage. But now, on the negative side, some people think having a disability is a curse, and for some even go further. They think, like, if I have maybe a body part of a person with, for example, a person with albinism, if I have a hand of a person with albinism, that hand will help me in my businesses. So they tend to kill people with albinism, and this has been very viral in the country. Like, people with albinism were being killed and murdered just to get their body parts to do for the sake of witchcrafts. But also the social aspects of it, like, some people view disability as a tragedy of life. Thus, persons with disabilities need to be helped always and pitied always. And you may find a person, like, for myself, this one has happened to me. Like, I went to a certain shop and bought something, and after buying, I gave that shopkeeper my money, and, like, when she gave me the change, she also took, I think it was I know it was 500 Tanzanian shilling, and she gave it, and it was like, take this one, you can go and buy some water to drink. And I was like, why do you think I need this one to buy water? Like, did I ask you for this? If I think I need help, I think I would have asked. So that's how many people think of us. Like, you may go to a place, a person just looks at you and say, like, nah, this one needs something. So like for them, the first instinct is to help you, which is, I think, for me, I think it is bad. But also now, like we have the human rights aspect, whereby some view disability as part of the human diversity, which is a lot of us. I think I am also here. So we believe that persons with disabilities should enjoy equal rights. And this is where now the government is in right now. So like we have some legal frameworks around disability. We have the disability law, for the law of the Act of the Persons with Disabilities Act, which was done in 2010, and this one was it came in place after the eradication. After ratification of the UNCRPD. Like when this like we used the US UNCRPD to make our disability law, but also we have policies on the way. But now, having laws, as we said before, like having laws is like without accountability, the laws become useless. So these are some visible gaps around disability, and like even despite having those laws, there are so many, but these are just a few. So like we have this employment discrimination. Okay, in our laws, in Tanzania laws, we are all companies are required to have 3% of their workforce to be persons with disabilities. They are required to hire 3% of their work, persons with disabilities to be 3% of their workforce. But now, this is not done even by the government. And now, like that, and that is when I was saying, like, there's this other, I showed you this, that is where this 3.1% comes from. Like it is just had to copy and paste so as to reach the requirement. But in real sense, it is not there. So yeah, we have like we have stigma in like the issue of accessibility. This happens almost everywhere in the infrastructures. Though the government is now trying to do some initiatives on that area, but up until now, the problem still persists, and it is a gap. But now still we have the laws, but these things still they are still there. In Tanzania now, the good thing, we have the 10% for 20% loan for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Now, like women get 4%, youth get 4%, then persons with disabilities get 2% from that 10. So, and even that one also, there are so many, like the level of bureaucracy in getting this kind of loans is exceptional as well. But the laws are very clear on that. So we have that issue. Then among others, as we see, like we are not that much inclusive. So going back to our foundation, this is a house. It has colors resembling the national flag of Tanzania. So we believe now for Tanzania to be strictly to be inclusive and to be inclusive, there are some things that should be considered in it. So like as you build a house, like you start with the foundation. From the foundation, you need to like put the walls, and like you need to put the roof and everything. So the foundation itself is not something people can live on. We need to complete it. And so now the walls represent the structures that we put in place in Tanzania to make everything accessible and inclusive. And also the roof now, like that one cements on the laws, so to make sure that like even now we have the laws, but in real sense, people should be protected with the laws that are put in place. So now the national flag, because like this one is the house. Now I tend to believe that as Tanzanians, like we made a foundation, and now we are trying to make a complete house. So the national flag representing the country. It means like for us, we believe disability is not something exotic. It is something that within we have been having it. It is not a concept that comes from somewhere else. So there's also there's a need for us to have a customized measures, customized measures towards disability inclusion based on our environments and based on our context as a country. So for this house to become a home for persons with disabilities, we believe all these things should be all these things, the walls and everything that from the foundation should be well considered by people who bear the offices. Now, we have seen the foundation, we have seen the house, we have seen the legal frameworks, and we have seen the gaps around them. But now, like, what are the opportunities that Tanzania have towards disability inclusion? We have several, but these are a few, and these are not only they are not only opportunities for Tanzanians to work on, but they are also opportunities for other people as well, like from Tanzania and outside Tanzania, to make sure they utilize these opportunities for them to make an impact in the country. As we saw in our foundation, we had the sitting room where a partnership is where I needed to do some partnership with other people. So these are the other areas that have potential in the country based on when as far as disability inclusion is concerned. So we can do that like in the area of financial opportunities. There are so many opportunities in that area regarding persons with disabilities that are yet tapped with the government and also persons with disabilities. We have things like on general inclusivity, accessibility, and also we need like the support of advocacy and disability champions in the country. It's unfortunate that most of the champions are being seen as activists. So like most of the time they are being put aside, but it's an opportunity for Tanzania now to have this because we have seen some, we have lived examples of people, of champions with disabilities who were given chances and they made wonders. And I think I'm going to show you one of those. We have so many of them, but I'm going to show them one of those. This one is a person of interest for me. So yeah, I had to put him in my presentation.
54-year-old Tuma Dandi from Tanzania was born a normal human being until he was 24 years. He was involved in a tragic motor accident that left his spinal cord damaged.
So I stayed in hospital for 1 year until expert doctors told me that it won't be able to walk again unless otherwise.
Though his legs got paralyzed, his brains remained focused on his long-held dream of pursuing journalism.
Before, a lot of people used to discourage me. Oh, look, you have no legs, you can't walk, you want to be the journalist. You know, journalism is a tough work to go here and there, climbing up and down.
Tuma has beaten all odds despite moving on a wheelchair to become a journalist and a camera person at Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation TBC.
I was in the class for 3 years. I was taught how to capture good images. So I don't see any difficulties to hold the camera, to mount on the stand, to shoot, doing everything while seated. If is only to sitting down on meetings, doing interview here and there. It's simple. And I wanted to show the world that people with disability is not inability.
Tuma has also worked for international media organizations and at University of Dar es Salaam. He attributes his success to the support by the wife and the family.
My wife also is an educated woman. She's a PhD holder at the University of Dar es Salaam. So she's very understanding.
Philip Aguta reporting.
Thank you. Tuma Dan, this video was taken I think 7 years ago. Like if you see him right now, you will see like you understand why I'm saying like it is very good to support persons with disabilities like these disability champions. So like he has his own television program whereby he supports persons with disabilities in the country. It is called Wape Nafasi. He works with the Tanzania Bureau of it is the national TV for Tanzania, TBC. He's the president of the Paralympics, like all the teams that for Paralympics in the country. is the one who oversees them. It has been that way for I think 4 years now, and he has so many things that he has done which which change like break the barriers, like change the narrative around disability. So that's why I think having people like this one, like in promoting their actions, it is very good for Tanzania to be more inclusive. So this is my last slide, I think. Yeah. So now the organization that I lead, Winning Nature in Charisma, we believe difference is value, and that is our motto for the organization. So we take this because now we have seen people with disabilities doing this called like self discrimination. People do discriminate themselves. They think they're not worth it, and that's all because they think it's because they have a disability, and that is not from them. It is from the society. That is what the society made them believe. Coming back to going back to our to the theme of the event, Ubuntu. We are because you are. So that is the main thing that we have. So our work as Winning Nature in Charisma is to make sure we change the narratives of the society to make Tanzania highly inclusive as it is in the picture. Like as a country, we need to accommodate all types of disabilities, all types of all diversities that come with disabilities. So I would like to welcome everyone to tap onto this opportunity to work making this dream a reality for us, because I believe Tanzania has so many talents. Like for people with disabilities in Tanzania have so many talents. They have so many innovations. They have so many things that they have, which when given a chance, that will be very helpful for us and for Africa as well. So we believe as once I think when I was here in the here in the US, we went to the disability resources. We met this lady. I forgot the name. I forgot the name, but like she had a very good quotation about disability. So for her, she was saying like she views disability as an opportunity for innovation. So that is what we want everyone to see disability is. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin and Mai. We are going to open it up now for questions and comments. And I ask Ava if you can share or any that may have come up in the chat, as well as folks are welcome online to unmute or to share any questions or comments you might have.
Yeah, Tim said, how can I support the efforts on disability inclusion in Tanzania as an American self-advocate? And then he said, I can also share resources and stories through my blog. And then he posted his email and then link to the blog.
Thank you. Wow, that is very encouraging. Yeah, I think the first way you can do that, you have already mentioned it. Like, so please, I would love for you to share your resources and like the website, because that one is very important for what I'm doing here. Because like what I'm doing here, and what I'm doing in the country, but also, I think like you should have a further conversation on that area. I don't know, like if you get my contact or if I get yours, then we can further that conversation. Thank you.
No problem, man. This is Timothy speaking. I posted my email on the chat, so if somebody could give it to you afterwards, if we could connect, that'd be great. Thank you, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's see. A lot of thank yous. Steve said, "How do we get that cap?" I think he's talking about the hat in your presentation.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wow, I never expected that. So, okay, that one is okay. Okay, that hat, it is something that I made like using online features. But I think if you want one, I can make that one for you, and I can ship it. Yeah, it's not problem. And like, yeah, you can also find other people who like we want to do that. Like, yeah, I can ship that. Thank you.
I have to visit Kilimanjaro, I think, to do the hunt.
Yeah.
See a lot of
Any
thank
other questions, Eva?
no, just a lot of thank yous and good jobs. Somebody, Zoe asked for a follow-up. And then put her email in there. I can get you that email.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And feel free to unmute.
Charity asks, from the first presentation, what are care levers?
Care leavers is anyone who have been in a child care institution. It can be an orphanage, a children's home, a children's village, and now they are transitioned back to either community, independent living, or back with their families.
Thank you. Chin said, I am from, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Malawi.
Malawi.
Yeah, Malawi. And they said, and we share the same challenges, and that the presentations are good and enlightening, and good job to both of you guys.
Thank you. We are happy to hear from Malawi.
Angel asks, is there a good way to vet the companies we donate to in order to avoid supporting institutions?
I think so. I think there is a lot of information, and I think if you donate to a company, you may want to ask where your money go to. And most of the time, also maybe before you donate, you can find a way how they do their accountability. And are they accountable? Because most of the institutions, they're not accountable. They can't account for their money apart from saying we give food and education. So I think it's better to do some digging into the companies and just know where your money is going. Thank you.
Jasmine.
And sometimes they may be saying they're having boarding schools. It's really similar. Some of the institutions are changing names to boarding schools. Instead of an orphanage, they will call it a boarding school. So really just educating yourself a little bit more before you donate. It's I think helpful.
Thank you. Jasmine asks, why is Ubuntu less common now?
I'm going to give an answer, and I think Kelvin, you will also chip in.
I think Ubuntu is less common now because of how we are viewing families and communities. I think the world is developing, and I think we're doing a lot of copy and paste. Just a little bit of a scenario. In Africa, we have very big families. And at least each one of us has been at some point at the auntie's home. You've been left in the care of a neighbor for a whole day. But we are kind of copying the Western culture and bringing that into our practices. Also, I would say Ubuntu is less common now because of the increasing poverty in some of our countries, but also the institutions that are growing rapidly, replacing all these community practices for the children with a aim with a well, the institutions are promising to take care of the children, but in reality, as the video I shared, they are being prisoned, you know, like they are being prisoned, but then they are growing. And I think because the institutions are also being funded, so, I think that is killing the community practices that really was Ubuntu. And yeah, I hope I've answered. Kelvin.
Okay, thank you. Adding up to what Maya said, I think there are so many answers to that question, and most of them go too deep. But for me, okay, I'm trying to sum up everything into one point. I think that's Africa. Okay, there's this quotation like I love from someone like somebody from South Africa called Divusia. I don't know if you guys know him. And like he used to say, like Africa, the problems that we have are too big for us to think small. So like what is happening is that as Africans, we have decided to use to take Western solutions to solve African problems without looking at the context. Like we're not customizing those solutions. So like I'm not saying that like having these solutions from Western and other countries is bad, but now like we need to check the context of it. Like does it fit our context? How can we customize this solution to fit our context? So like that wraps around like about institutionalization, like and everything, because now people are like, no, I have to go to work. I cannot take care of this baby of mine. So like I have to put him in a boarding school and just leave them there, like leave for other people to, I don't know how to put it, yeah, to make him like grow up and everything. But now back then, like where myself I grew up, like I never, like for me, at my early childhood state, I never went to a boarding school. I was living with my parents, like going to these normal schools. Yeah, sometimes like you may find the whole day you don't see your mother or your father, but at least you see them in the evening. But now like you are being put in a boarding school and you only see them like twice a year. So some principles are being like some principles will obviously be broken to that extent, because now like there won't be that oneness. We used to grow up with our cousins and everyone around, but now like you are meeting a bunch of strange people and you have to stay with them for a long time. So like you need to adapt to that. So yeah, I think just putting into that to my answer that like we are thinking small while we have big problems. Yeah.
Thank you. Evan says, we face similar challenges in Kenya, but the government is working to improve policies that affect children and focus on Ubuntu. the idea that a child belongs to the community. Well done.
Thank you. I'm glad we have someone from Kenya because it's very late there. Thank you.
And then someone says, Laura says, thank you so much, Calvin and Mai, for bringing this very important work to this webinar and for educators to be aware.
So while we're seeing if we have any other questions or comments, we appreciate all that's been shared so far. I am going to put this up, ways that you can stay connected with us at the Sonoran Center, but we'd also love your feedback. And hopefully, Ava, you can also maybe put the link in the chat for people for the evaluation tied to the QR code that's on the screen. But we'll also make sure to share that feedback with both Mai and Kelvin. So please, we'd really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us.
If I can make a comment, this is Alan Bergman. First, thank you to the Sonoran Center for doing this webinar and for both, pardon me, Mayan and Kelva for sharing with us all these intricate details about your culture. I had put in the chat, but I think while you're here, as Kelvin just said, you can't just take it and copy it, but there's always lessons to be learned even across the 50 states. I would urge you, working with the folks at the university, to look at the 17 states that no longer have institutions, to look at the Department of Education report on where are kids most included in public school, and then try to tap into people in those states or some of those communities. What are their lessons learned? How did they go from 125 years of institutionalization in this country, which is what we had from 1848 to 1975 when we got the federal special education law. And in some states, they're still struggling, including my home state of Illinois, where TJ also lives. But I think there are lessons to be learned from those states. I'd name Michigan, I would name Oregon, Washington State, some of the New England states. What did they start doing to break down the institutional model, the culture that these people are better off there, they don't belong, and we're still not done yet. And apparently you've got it in your underlying philosophy, but you're not implementing it. So I think talking to some people who are around, who've been at this, if not since 1975, 1980, 85, what have they done? What lessons did they learn? What mistakes did they make that if they could do it over again, they might do differently in terms of beginning to move their community and their state to a culture of belonging? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That is noted. Thank you so much. Ava, any more questions or comments in the chat, or anyone else who'd like to come off mute?
Arlene said, great idea. To piggyback, my home state of New Jersey has family resource centers that also unite the community.
Thank you for sharing that.
Hi everyone, this is TJ speaking. Piggyback on what Alan suggested about learning getting more information on the institutionalization. What if, because of the government shutdown, we're not able to get the Department of Education information? Where else can we find information?
This is Alan. I can answer that, TJ. We have the most recent report to Congress, and I'm sure the university does, from the Office of Special Ed, which lists all the states and by category of disability, how the kids are included or partially included or not included at all in school. And it's about 2 years old. And the Institute on Community Integration at the University of Minnesota has all the good data about institutionalization, community living, host homes, foster care, and the states that do or do not have and where they are. So I think the data at the national level are pretty current and readily available. Then the drill down goes to who should you contact in that state.
Duly noted. And of course, Minnesota is my alma mater, so I definitely would check them out. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing all of those resources and information. And I'd like to know, I mean, Arizona, we count ourselves among those. We deinstitutionalize, with the exception of one that has not back in the 80s, and that one that no longer has accepted anyone new since then either. And most people all live in the community here in Arizona. And it's been great to partner with both Mai and Kelvin, and having some of our partners meet with them and our staff. And we just appreciate you sharing all of your insights and how we can also learn from some of your practices from your home countries that can be utilized here within our communities. So thank you both so much. Thank you to everyone who's online for joining us today. And please enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening.
What do you think? Thank you.